Hey guys, Chief Fruity here, and this is the behind the scenes of drop number 13. And I haven't done a drop behind the scenes for like 7 months. You can see that like on the screenshot of the video up there, it was about 7 months. So it's been a while, so I'm looking forward to getting back into doing these behind the scenes of the drops. So for those of you who have not heard drop number 13, you can go click the video right up there, or click the I or the annotation, and that'll take you to drop number 13 where you can listen to the audio. So now that that's gone, I'd like to show you guys what I've done for drop number 13 since this is a BTS. So pretty much this isn't too much of a complicated drop. There's not going to be too much to show you guys. There's two basses here. There originally was some chords right here, as you can see with this empty audio clip. However, I did lose the audio file because it was somewhere in my FL Studio library and I accidentally deleted it. Probably thinking that it was something useless in another project, but it was used in here. But I still have the chords right here that I will be able to show you guys. So I'll just show you how I made the chords, and then basically I just recorded the chords and reversed them just to kind of give it an effect of coming in rather than fading out. So right now let's dive right into this first bass up here, which is green. So I'll give you guys some samples here, then we'll go into how I made the synth. And that was pretty much the bass right there. So first things first is I want to make sure the vocoder band values are full. Otherwise it sounds really weird if you're playing without the band values. So this is just some standard FM synthesis going. On operator 1, I have a triangle wave with 2.0 for the pitch frequency. Same with operator 2. And then on operator 3, I bumped it up to a 32.0 pitch frequency. And that is so, right here, it starts kicking into operator 3. And right about there, that's when the pitch will shift from 2 up to 32. And that's what gives it like a little bit of a vocal effect. And then operator 4, I have the same. Operator 5 and 6 are up to 64.0 for the pitch frequency. And they are on triangle waves as well. It's all triangle waves. That's what sounds the best for FM synthesis. And then as it goes up here, it hits that 64.0 frequency, which is literally like shoving it up a couple octaves. And what that's doing is it's giving it that vocal effect. Let's go down an octave. And this is the FM synth I used. But I didn't just use the citrus, there's some other stuff that went inside of it. In this patcher here, there's this vocodex I was talking about earlier, and these band values are being modulated as well as the filter cutoff, as shown down here. Let's zoom in so we can read these clips. This right here is the filter cutoff. This is the bandwidth, and this is an EQ. So we'll look into the EQ later, but this is the filter cutoff, like I was saying. So with just the filter cutoff, it sounds like this. And then with just the band value modulation, it sounds like this. And with both of those, it sounds like this. So what the band values does is it really, like, let's go to Vocodex, that'll make it a lot easier to explain. So as you can see right here, all the bands are really small. And that is meaning that there's a big difference in between each band. Like, they're really small, so there's a big gap in between each section of the sound, so it makes the sound really hollow. Now when you bump up those bands, it adds them much closer together. And because of that, they're a lot thicker, and you can hear the sound a lot better because it's more full. So that's why it's good to have like this modulating, because it's kind of like it's a good accent to the filter with having a band value modulator. You can even see the little bit that's up there modulating with the bands. That's exactly what it does. Like, it makes it thick sound, really thin sound. And by default, it's like right here. I like to, like, for vocal effects, it's really good right here, but if you want the bass to be really filler, then you just put it up right here. So I was modulating this, so it was changing all the time though. And then that's pretty much all that's going on in the Vocodex. I bumped up the SG, and the SG is really just compression. So if it was down here, there'd be no compression. And up here, full compression. But this didn't need a whole lot of compression, but still having that little bit helped. And also the Maximus right here really did most of it, so most of this internal compression didn't do a whole lot. And then there's wetness. I boosted the wetness to help get it a fuller sound. And the bass is threaded, but it is not drafted. So that's pretty much what's going on inside the Vocodex here. Now the Maximus, I don't think I really did anything other than just boosting the lows, mids, and high compressions. So the master compression is normal, but I boosted the highs, mids, and lows compressions. And what that would do is that would just compress those frequencies more. So I'm going to a plugin picker so I can show you what I mean in an EQ. So like if you boosted the master compression, it would be compressing everything equally like this. Now if you boosted like just the three, like the high, the mid, and the low, it would compress these three frequencies more, and then these frequencies would be not compressed at all. So it would just compress these more, and kind of like what that does is most of the vocally frequencies are right here. So I wanted to keep these the same, but just compress everything else. So I put it into a Maximus and boosted these, and that really just compresses those frequencies instead of like the master. So that's a little interesting thing there. And I have an EQ here boosting some lows, a wave shaper here, giving it a slight distortion, and then an effector on some reverb, and then this EQ, which is boosting some mids, and yeah, really just boosting some low mids and some high mids. Not too much going on here, just like some EQs, you know, some distortion, reverb, vocoder, and compression on top of the Citrus FM synthesis. So that is what is going on there. And then this is the EQ, which I meant to show you. So I'll play this on the loop with just the EQ envelope. So as you can see, it is modulating this. And what that is doing is if it's down here, it's boosting the lows. If it's up here, it's boosting the highs. So why it's good to kind of have that is it just kind of makes it interesting. So it sounds like this. So it sounds like this. It really just accents this section and this section more, because when you boost the highs, that's the frequency that most FM synths play more than others. So having that just kind of for accents on the bass itself. So that was this green bass here, and then pretty much it's just variations in the notes and in the modulation for the whole thing. But that's just like the main thing there. Now for this red bass here, this one I made inside of Harmor. Here's a sample. And this one isn't too much, this one isn't too complicated. Let's boost the octave a little bit. So pretty much this is going through a filter 2 frequency envelope. There's a filter 1 frequency and a filter 2 frequency, both doing the same thing. Whoops, let's get back to Harmor. Pop this out. And it's really just kind of slicing through the sound. And the reason I wanted to do that is it just made it a little more interesting, and without those filter envelopes, it's like this. And just that got a little bit boring over time. So having it being sliced through with some tremolo, that helped a little bit right there. And I put unison up to 3 voices of blurred unison. Harmonizer, I put it in a little bit, not too much. Otherwise it's like this. Just wanted to have a little bit in there. I put on the prism amount slightly, as opposed to being like this. It's like this. As well as I dropped the pitch down 2 octaves. Really, like I could have done that in the piano roll, but it's just easier when doing sound design just to throw it down right here. It's on a saw wave. And that's what's going on inside of a Harmor. No more envelopes in there. I put this on to track 13. I ran it through this patcher, where it's going through this Vocodex, which is boosting some band values to get a little bit thicker, some compression, some wetness, and threaded, as well as the reel is up. And really what this reel does is it just adds natural reverb inside the vocoder itself. And why you'd want that is because it's inside the vocoder rather than going through another plugin, so it gets reverb well, it gets like boosted bands and some wetness and threaded and compression. So it's like it does it all in the plugin. Maximus, doing pretty much the same thing here, but just compressing the highs a little bit more, which you could probably tell why, because on the Maximus, the Harmor here, a lot more stuff would have been going on up here. Right here you can see the tremolo is being affected a lot more up here, but there's a lot of stuff going on up here because it's the bass. So, well actually that doesn't make much sense because it's the bass, but it's a dubstep bass. And you can tell right here there's quite a bit going on up here. And it would sound like this if that was boosted, and this if it was taken out. So I didn't really want to take it out, so to say. I wanted to still keep it in, but just compress it more so it didn't get too loud, like by reaching a threshold. And you know, like you may be saying like, well, why would it reach a threshold? Because if you're playing a constant note, you can tell that right when you press it, there's a pretty big peak where the high starts and then where it ends and gets compressed, because it starts right there with that peak. So the compressor really just helps like soften that peak a little bit. So we turned off the high compression. Oh wait, no, that actually cut out highs completely. So if we take off this Maximus and just link this directly to the EQ, it sounds like this. And the reason why that still sounds pretty, not too crazy, it's because there's a limiter here on the master, just to kind of keep everything in check. And it is getting limited on the master as well. So let's see, it's where was I? I was in the patcher. So that's what the Maximus is doing. Then here, this EQ is taking out the mid-highs right here. Or the high mids. Because the high is like way up here, but it's kind of like just below that in the PRS section. So I'm taking that out, and with that in, it sounds like this. And that sounds really weird, so I took those out to give it that sound. And then the modulation here is EQ. So modulating EQ is a pretty good thing to modulate, because like it helps like change the sound quite a bit. So that's what I have going for both these basses. Now for the chords, which is the third and final sound design of this drop. It's really simple. It's just boost some harmonies and add in 9 voices of unison to the default and put on some reverb and an EQ, just some tremolo a little bit. And that's all I did, just to get the chords. And then here's the D minor. And those are some pretty good chords. Now, like, there's still a lot of stuff you could put on top of those to make them more interesting, but I'll let you experiment with that. And then what I did to get the clip that was in here is I just played the chords. I recorded them into an Edison right here. And then from there, I just took this and then I reversed them. And then when I reversed them, I played them opposite the order I wanted them to. So when they reversed, they were still like in key and the right key. And I just like took sections of that, like I don't know exactly what section I took, but it's something like this. And I would have put them in time because that's not perfectly in time. But that's how I made the chords here. And then I just like messed with some of the stuff in here, like with the crossfades and stuff like that. So that's how I made those chords. Then the drum loop here is pretty simple. See if I did any EQ on here. I put some reverb on the kick and on the snare. I put a lot more reverb on the snare. And the hats, I don't have anything on the hats. Though a good tip for hi-hats is to put some reverb on them. It really helps like open them up and makes them sound a little bit more real. Then for the drop B here, I just kind of changed the pattern of what's playing. So that was it for drop number 13, just some extra crashes in there. This is the filter cutoff for the drums, by the way. And why it's here in the middle is because this is the positive and negative polarity, so right here is actually where it would be to be normal for another drum clip. That was originally here, but then I took that out just to leave it in like this actual form, because before it was a recording, just so that's just the filter cutoff for the drums. But yeah, like I was saying, this is the end of the BTS for drop number 13. I do hope you guys enjoyed it, and be sure to subscribe and like for next week's video, where I hope to continue to work on the Marshmallow Style song into part 7, I think, or 6. It's one of those parts. I don't remember exactly which one it was we did last, which was last week, so I should remember, but I don't. So yeah, thank you guys for subscribing and liking and being positive in the comments, and I'll see you guys in next week's video. Until then, bye.